The Houston Astros, by their standards, did not have a successful 2023 season as they did not win the World Series. That is the lofty standard they have set for themselves. They didn't reach it. However, they still went 90-72 last year. They won the AL West on the tiebreaker, but they eventually lost to their division rival Texas Rangers in the American League Championship Series. Entering 2024, we'll see what is in the cards for this Astros team as we look ahead towards the 2024 season. My name is Derek. I'm here with Luke. You're watching Bleacher, Brawls, and this is your Houston Astros 2024 team profile. First things first, I'll hand it over to Luke, kind of get his opening thoughts on this Astros team. Last year did not end how they wanted to, but they are still one of the favorites to win the World Series heading into 2024. What are your thoughts on this Astros team?
They're still loaded, but they lost Dusty Baker, which is that steady managerial presence there. I'll never forgive him for killing the careers of Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor, pitching them every day, 1,000 pitches a day. But he was obviously a very good manager, so they'll have to overcome losing him. But, 6 straight American League West titles. They've been to 7 straight ALCSs, won 4 of them. They still set the bar in the American League.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's totally true. And with that, let's talk about this team and this stellar team that they have. And let's dive into some of their key players. I'll hand it back over to you, Luke. Who are 3 key players for this Astros team? And out of those 3, who's one that you like to expand on as an important player for them in 2024?
I could talk about Yordan Alvarez all day, but I feel like that's what everybody talks about with the Astros. But, he's going to be an MVP candidate for the next 10 years, probably. He's David Ortiz reincarnated, even though Ortiz is still very much alive. I see Hunter Brown as the next Astros young star starting pitcher to step forward and join Framber Valdez and Christian Javier. I know Javier took a step back in 2023, and Brown didn't have a very good year either. But he's got the talent. But the most interesting Astro to me is Yainer Diaz going into next season. He's the next Houston star hitter to really step forward. Last year, I feel like nobody was talking about him, but a 282 batting average, 538 slugging percentage, 846 OPS in 355 at-bats with 23 home runs and 60 RBIs in 355 at-bats. This is, as the backup catcher, really, I'm sure he DH'd a bit and probably played a little first base. I'm not sure about that. But he'll be the starting catcher this season. Maldonado and his dead bat are gone. But I'd get him over to first base ASAP if I was the Astros to increase his at-bats and lengthen his career. Figure out how to sidestep Jose Abreu because this guy is the future. Houston's pipeline of young stars finally seems to be drying up, but Yordan Alvarez, Jeremy Pena, Yainer Diaz, and Kyle Tucker's a free agent after next season, but these guys are going to help ensure that the Astros of my youth aren't returning anytime soon. This guy rakes. He is dangerous, and people are still going to be having nightmares about the Astros for the next few years, and in large part because of him.
It's funny. I look at his. I was looking at his Fangraphs page, and I'm like, yeah, he doesn't walk. People will be like, yeah, he doesn't walk, and I'm just like, so? I'm like, yeah, he only walks 3% of the time. But at the same time, he's a catcher. Like, you're not like if you get any offense from the catcher position, it's a plus. Now the defense is going to be a little bit of a question for him behind the plate, but he is set to be the main guy behind the plate this year for the Astros. So we'll see how that goes defensively.
It's another reason. Games. It's another reason to move him to first base.
Well, we'll see because they do have Jose Abreu kind of stuck there. I do want to talk. I think Kyle Tucker obviously is a key player. Altuve, obviously. You could also throw in like a Bregman. But I want to talk about Framber Valdez because I think Framber Valdez. I'm of the belief that I think people throw the term ace around too much and whatnot, and I don't think Framber's an ace, but I think he's close. You look at his last couple years, 2021, 22 starts, a 3.14 ERA, although the FIP was a bit high. 2022, 2.82 ERA, 3.06 FIP, 3.14 SIERA. This past year, was this last year and this year both with 31 starts. He had a 3.45 ERA this year, jumped up a little bit. There's still a 3.50, 3.70 CR is a little bit high, but not bad at all. He's been a really good ground ball pitcher, although the only worrisome thing is last year the ground ball rate dropped by more than 10%. So there's a little bit of, don't love it as much. But I think in terms of how consistent he's been over the last 3 years, I think he's close to this. I don't think he's there yet, but I think he's really close. I'm of the belief that there's maybe only 5 or 6 true aces in baseball right now. I like I said, I think it's a term thrown around too much, but I think Framber's close. I think he's definitely a 1. I wouldn't say ace though, but he's close, like I said, and that's why I think he's key for this Astros team, especially if he takes that step into that ace category.
If he learns to not sweat quite so much, then I think he will be a bona fide ace. I think he needs to figure out the hydration thing, because I think he's got so much talent, but by the 6th inning, he's just drained, literally drained. He's standing in a puddle on the pitcher's mound. He is the sweatiest guy I have ever seen.
That's kind of true. He is very sweaty. Let's move on to some of the key offseason moves. There's not a ton, but the couple they did make I felt were huge. Obviously, they did sign Victor Caratini to be a backup catcher. They lost some guys like Hector Neris, Phil Maytone, and Ryan Stanek, 3 relievers, and that's important because Kendall Graveman's also out for all of 2024. But their 2 big moves, they signed Josh Hader, and then they extended Jose Altuve. So I want to hand it back over to you, Luke. What are your thoughts on kind of what's the big move for them this offseason?
It's the same old freaking story with the Astros. They lose George Springer. They get Jordan Alvarez. They lose Carlos Correa, and they get Jeremy Pena. And they lose 3 relief pitchers, middle relievers. None of them are great. Neris was really great in spurts, but Neris and Matone and Stanek, very capable relievers, and they lose them all in one season. So what do? And Ryan Presley saved 31 games last year. He had a good year. But the Astros just don't screw around. They get Josh Hader, the most dominant and maybe not the most dominant, one of the 3 most dominant closers and scariest closers to face probably, especially for lefties, because he's got the whole Randy Johnson intimidation thing. He's a big, lanky dude, and when he throws the ball, it feels like he's throwing it at you from 8 feet away. He had 33 saves last year in that dumpster fire in San Diego, a 1.28 ERA, 13.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, 8 total runs surrendered in 56 1/3 innings pitched last year. So even after losing those 3 relievers and 4 relievers, because losing Kendall Graveman to injury, they still have Hader and Ryan Presley and Brian Abreu, by the way, at the back of the bullpen. Brian Abreu is a guy who was really slept on in that bullpen. He was their best reliever at the end of last season. Hader transforms what should have been a bullpen weakened by free agency into possibly even more of a dominant force from the 7th to the 9th innings next season.
Yeah, I think Hader's huge. For me, I want to touch on... first thing I want to bring up a little bit of backstory in this. I love how homegrown this Astros team is. In terms of, you look at their lineup, and you have guys like Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Chas McCormick, Jeremy Pena, Jake Myers. You look at their rotation. Outside of Justin Verlander, it's all homegrown guys. Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Hunter Brown, Jose Urquidy. And then even injured Luis Garcia, Lance McCullers. And in their bullpen, Abreu, Ronald Blanco, JP France, et cetera, et cetera. They have a ton of homegrown guys, and I love that. The biggest one of them is Jose Altuve, who they just got locked up 5 years, $125 million extension. I think that's the biggest move of the offseason for them, making sure Jose Altuve sticks around. He is their franchise. I would say he's the face of that franchise. He has been for the last 10 years. Last year, he was injured, did miss some time, only played 90 games. But had he played a full season, he was on pace to be the best second baseman in baseball by a decent margin. He hit 311 last year. He had a 154 weighted runs created plus and 17 homers in 90 games, just over 400 plate appearances. He put up a 4.0 WAR in 90 games, F4 in 90 games. That's really good. The strikeout rate did jump up a tiny little bit, but it's still only 17%. There's no worries there. The big thing for him is just how long can he continue? But he's only going to be 34 next year. He's been arguably the best second baseman in baseball, or one of the best since the 2014 season when he was 24 years old. Now he's heading into his age 34 season. He's still doing it. It's Jose Altuve. I think that's the biggest move for this Astros team.
Do you think? Wait, so what's the biggest move? Oh, re-signing him, extending him. You're saying is the biggest move. Do you think the cheating scandal is going to hurt his Hall of Fame chances?
Maybe, but he should still get in. I truly believe he should still get in.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. Maybe not first ballot because of that, but yeah, he should get in. Last but not least, let's talk about expectations. I think this one's really simple. So for me, I'll just get mine out. It's win the World Series. It's World Series or bust. Do you agree with that, Luke?
Oh, of course. And there's really no reason they shouldn't expect that. The only team that beat them last year is kind of taking a step back because they can't get their TV deal figured out. So they couldn't really add anything. Yeah, but my expectations personally for them are they're going to be right back in the ALCS and more than likely back in the World Series.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can't disagree with that at all. So I guess that's a great place to wrap it up. Astro fans, let us know your thoughts in the comments on your team. I think your team's going to be good again, obviously. So yeah, make sure to check out all our other team profiles as well, and check out all our links in the description. For Luke, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning into Bleacher Brawls, and we will see you next time.